All Bibles are translated out of the Ethiopian original tongues, which was not in the Old and New Testament format. Therefore, in the story Star Witness, the introduction of Christ, Moses has the title of Christ. Therefore, he has to be considered the angel of the Lord. So let's look it up. The early church fathers identified the angel of the Lord as Christ. In Luke 9, verse 33, and it came to pass, as they departed from him, Peter said unto Jesus, it is good for us to be here, and let us make us 3 tabernacles. Another Bible will say 3 tents, one for thee and one for Moses. In other words, Jesus and Moses are together at the same time, and one for Elias, also known as Elijah. While he thus spoke, there came a cloud and overshadowed them, and they feared as they entered into the cloud. And there came a voice out of the cloud saying, this is my beloved son. Moses, by definition, literally means son. So he's talking to Moses, who was in the clouds with him. This is my beloved son, hear him. And when the voice was past, Jesus was found alone. In other words, Jesus is not an angel of the Lord. Therefore, he cannot fly in the clouds. So that's why it says, what does it mean that Jesus was a little lower than the angels? It means that he's not Christ and he's simply a man, as mentioned in Psalm 8. For it's a psalm of David. And if you know who David is another name for Solomon. The Psalm 72 is a psalm of Solomon. It's the same Solomon who was supposed to get gold from Sheba. So may gold from Sheba be given him. So who is him? David. This concludes the prayers of David, the son of Jesse, because David is just another name for Solomon, who also has a name of Moses, because it's called the dynasty of Moses and Queen Sheba. So as you notice in Psalm 72, it's Solomon and Sheba. Therefore, Moses and Solomon are the same person. So getting back to Jesus, Psalm 8 lets you know, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? Human beings that you take care of them. You made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. Little lower than the angels. So, who is little lower than the angels? Jesus. In other words, Jesus is not Christ. So if the Romans killed Christ, how can they teach you about him? That's just common sense. So as Selassie I said, I have the highest respect for the Bible as a whole. Therefore, the Bible should not be cut into portions. It should have never been in the Old and New Testament format. So if you read Ezekiel 38, you will see that Sheba is supposed to be here in the latter days. So after many days, you will be given attention in the final part of the years. In the final part of the years. In other words, towards the end of Revelation, as mentioned in a different Bible. After many days, thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Notice it didn't say in the latter part of the year. Thou shalt be coming to the land where against the mountain of Israel. Because the king of Zion is the king of Ethiopia. So let's read a little excerpt from Star Witness. The mixture of Exodus and Revelation stories have been hidden in plain sight for centuries, simply because the narratives of both were separated within the Old and New Testament format. So even by placing Exodus in the Old Testament story, it still does not change the fact that no one can stop the prophecies of the true God. So now let us read parts of Revelation 10, while connecting the dots to its corresponding scriptures within Exodus. And I saw another strong angel descending from heaven, arrayed with a cloud. Notice in Luke 9, verse 33, Moses, a man of the true God, whom also has the title of the angel of the Lord, entered the cloud with Elijah. And he had in his hand a little scroll open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, but his left one upon the earth. And he cried out with a loud voice, just as when a lion roars. And when he cried out, the 7 thunders uttered their voices. So as you see, Since Moses is a modern day character, that also means that Exodus is a modern day story. So the prophecies of Exodus are meant to happen now. And when I cried out, the seven thunders uttered their own voice, which sounds familiar to Exodus 17, verses 4 and 5, when Moses cried out and prayed to God, "What can I do to this people? Any minute now they'll kill me." God said to Moses, "Go on ahead of the people, taking with you some of the elders of Israel. Take the staff you use to strike the Nile." So if you notice in Revelation 11, as a reed like a rod was given me, as he said, "Get up and measure the temple sanctuary." So you notice both in Revelation and Exodus, a rod was used. There's even more, because the story Star Witness is filled with prophecy that is supposed to happen in the future. So as we live now, we just got to continue. Jah Guy.